strength, discipline, power. These were the words people used when they talked about Samantha Reyes, a bodybuilding icon, a gym owner, and the face of female empowerment in Las Vegas. She wasn't just a woman, she was a force. But behind the chiseled physique and relentless ambition, there was a storm brewing. In 2015, Samantha Reyes shocked the world, not by winning another title, but by doing the unthinkable. She lured her husband's mistress into a gym session and left her lifeless, not with a gun, not with a weapon, but with the very strength that had once made her a champion. What drives a woman, once celebrated, admired, even feared, to cross that invisible line between control and chaos? Was it jealousy, betrayal, or something far more terrifying? The collapse of identity when the world you built starts to slip through your fingers. This is not a simple tale of infidelity. It's the anatomy of a meltdown, a descent into madness hidden behind protein shakes, competition medals, and forced smiles. The city of Las Vegas watched in horror as their queen of fitness became a prisoner of her own rage. In this episode, we take you deep into the timeline of a tragedy. From the rise of Samantha Reyes as a beacon of discipline, to the betrayal that broke her, and the calculated act of violence that destroyed everything. Stay with us, because what you're about to hear might make you question how well you really know the people you admire. This is The Queen Who Snapped, Samantha Reyes' story. Born in the outskirts of Phoenix, Arizona, Samantha didn't come from privilege. Her mother worked nights as a hospital janitor. Her father walked out before she learned to spell her name. There were no bedtime stories, no ballet recitals, just silence, and the constant hum of struggle. By 13, Samantha had already learned the language of survival. She fought back against school bullies, defended her little brother from their drunk landlord, and swore she'd never let anyone control her future. Her sanctuary? A forgotten garage gym 3 blocks from her apartment. Old iron weights, rusted dumbbells, no coaches, no guidance, just a mirror and rage. She lifted because it was the only thing in her life she could control. She lifted because no one could hit her back in that room. She lifted because, for once, the pain made sense. By 19, she had a physique that turned heads. By 21, she was taking gold medals in regional competitions. And by 27, she had launched Titanium Temple, a high-end gym in Las Vegas where celebrities trained, sponsors flocked, and Samantha reigned supreme. She was unstoppable, unshakable, unbreakable, but strength, real strength, isn't just about how much weight you can lift. It's about what you do when your heart is breaking. And in that, Samantha Reyes was weaker than anyone ever realized. Adrian Bell didn't come from Samantha's world. He was soft-spoken, cerebral, a quiet man who ran a small nutrition coaching business and believed in morning coffee more than pre-workout supplements. They met in 2010 during a photo shoot for a sports supplement brand. Samantha had been modeling. Adrian was backstage giving dietary tips to athletes. Their chemistry was instant and unexpected. Adrian admired her drive, her presence, the way she took over a room. Samantha admired his calm, his ability to slow her down when everything in her world was chaos. They married quickly. Too quickly, some would say. But for a while it worked. While Samantha was out expanding Titanium Temple, speaking at fitness expos, launching her own protein line, Adrian stayed behind, managing the books, answering calls, prepping meals. He was supportive, loyal, devoted, but slowly, the dynamic began to shift. Samantha's tone grew sharper, her expectations higher. She micromanaged everything, what Adrian ate, who he talked to, when he slept. Love turned into performance. Affection became accountability. Adrian began to disappear, not physically, emotionally. And then came Jenna Clark. She was younger, freer, and new to the gym, a yoga instructor with soft edges and bright eyes. She didn't ask Adrian to be perfect. She just asked him to be seen. And for the first time in years, he was. At first, it was innocent, a joke shared between yoga mats, a coffee break in the lobby, a conversation about music and family and the suffocating pressure of expectation. Jenna didn't plan on falling for a married man, and Adrian didn't intend to betray the woman who once saved him from his own loneliness. But love doesn't ask for permission, and lust doesn't wait for logic. By the fall of 2014, their glances turned into touches. Their texts grew longer, and the space between them, non-existent. They met in secret, hotel lobbies, quiet restaurants, the back room of Jenna's studio after hours. Adrian told himself it wasn't cheating if he still came home at night. Jenna convinced herself that Samantha had never really loved him anyway, but deep down, they both knew. And so did Samantha. She didn't confront them, didn't scream, didn't cry. She watched, she waited, she planned. Because when a woman like Samantha Reyes gets betrayed, she doesn't just break, she destroys. Samantha Reyes didn't explode, she calculated. The moment she confirmed the affair, through texts, locker whispers, even gym security footage, she didn't run to Adrian. She didn't confront Jenna. That would give them power. Instead, Samantha did what she always did when cornered. She planned her next move like a general preparing for war. She started playing nice, smiling at Jenna when they passed in the hallway, asking about yoga classes, even recommending new lighting for the studio. To Jenna, it felt strange, but genuine. To Samantha, it was camouflage. 2 weeks before the murder, Samantha invited Jenna to a one-on-one wellness consultation. A chance, she said, to help Jenna launch her brand, collaborate on women's fitness packages, maybe even co-host a podcast. Jenna, flattered and a little naive, said yes. Why wouldn't she? She believed Samantha didn't know. She believed this was her chance to step out of the shadows, not just as Adrian's lover, but as a rising name in the fitness world. The meeting was set for Friday night. 10 p.m., Titanium Temple would be closed. No staff, no trainers, just Samantha and Jenna. Security cameras? Still running. But Samantha had learned enough about the system to avoid certain angles and planned to finish before anyone could notice what was missing. She prepared the space herself, a private training room with floor-to-ceiling mirrors, hand weights, battle ropes, and a yoga mat already laid out, like a spider laying silk for a fly. Friday came. Jenna showed up in her gym clothes, ponytail up, notebook in hand. Samantha welcomed her with a smile, led her down the hall, and locked the door behind them. At first, it was quiet, too quiet. Jenna laid down her notebook and started asking questions. What kind of collaboration? What would the podcast be about? Samantha stood behind her, silent, unmoving. Then, her voice low, almost trembling, she asked, "Did you ever wonder if he really loved you?" Jenna turned around, confused, caught off guard. Samantha's face had changed, the warmth gone. Her eyes cold, fixed, calculating. "You think he was going to leave me for you? You think you won?" Jenna's lips parted, maybe to explain, maybe to run, but it was too late. Samantha lunged. Years of muscle, years of conditioning. Her grip was unrelenting. Jenna screamed, kicked, clawed, but it wasn't a fair fight. It was never meant to be. Samantha threw her against the mirror. It shattered. Jenna's arm bloodied, her breath shallow. Then came the final blow. A chokehold so violent it snapped the silence in two. It lasted only seconds. But in those seconds, something inside Samantha broke. Not her strength, not her control, her humanity. When it was over, Jenna's lifeless body lay on the mat. The same mat where women once found strength, peace, empowerment. Now it held death and silence. Samantha stood over her, panting, shaking. And then she started to clean. Samantha didn't run. She didn't scream. She didn't even cry. She switched modes, grabbed cleaning supplies from the janitor's closet, bleached the floor, wiped the mirrors, disposed of Jenna's notebook, her phone, her gym bag. She wrapped Jenna's body in a training towel, loaded her into a duffel bag like just another set of weights, and carried her out the back door. The parking lot was empty, the night air still, the city unaware of the horror unfolding behind gym walls. Samantha drove, far, to the desert outskirts just past Red Rock Canyon, where abandoned lots and half-finished warehouses dotted the landscape. She'd scoped the area out days before, She'd brought a shovel. She'd memorized which lots had no cameras, no guards. She dug fast, the desert sand loose and dry. When the body was covered, she stood for a moment, hands shaking, clothes soaked with sweat, and whispered, "No one will ever know." Back at the gym, she returned to routine. The next day, Samantha was back at the front desk, smiling, laughing, coaching a group through a new HIT program, as if nothing had happened, as if the floor where Jenna died was just another stretch of hardwood. But something was different, something in her eyes, something in the way her voice cracked at the end of sentences. And within 48 hours, someone would notice, and everything she thought she buried would begin to rise. At first, no one suspected Samantha Reyes. The gym was still running, the staff was still training, and Samantha? She was posting inspirational quotes on Instagram like nothing had happened. But behind the glossy filters and protein shake promotions, a storm was brewing. Jenna Clark's sudden disappearance didn't go unnoticed. Her roommate reported her missing the next morning. She never came home, never texted, never showed up for her weekend classes. Police began their search quickly, checking credit card activity, cell tower pings, gym surveillance, and that's when they found it. The footage, Jenna entering Titanium Temple late Friday night. She never walked out. The timestamp matched perfectly with Samantha's consultation invite, but more than that, it showed something chilling. The gym lights flickering back on at 1:47 a.m. A large duffel bag being dragged out the back door by Samantha. When detectives confronted her, she didn't crack. She offered coffee, smiled, said Jenna had canceled last minute, said maybe Jenna had just run off with some new boyfriend. But the officers weren't convinced. And then they found blood residue in the training room, traces hidden in the baseboards and under the yoga mat. A strand of Jenna's hair stuck to a broken mirror piece, buried in a trash bin behind the gym. The final nail? Jenna's smartwatch, still transmitting GPS signals. Recovered by a jogger near the shallow grave Samantha thought no one would ever find. On March 28th, just 3 weeks after the murder, Samantha Reyes was arrested for first-degree murder. As the handcuffs clicked into place, she didn't scream. She didn't fight. She just whispered, "She took everything from me." The trial began in September of 2015, and it was everything the media could hope for. Headlines screamed, "Muscle Queen turned killer," "Murder at the Temple," "From barbells to bloodshed." Crowds swarmed the courthouse. Reporters camped outside. Former clients posted side-by-side photos. Samantha's championship poses versus her mugshot. Inside, the atmosphere was electric. Samantha sat cold and stoic, her once sculpted physique now softened from months behind bars. Gone were the lashes, the bronzer, the steel armor of public image. All that remained was a woman on the edge. Her defense claimed temporary insanity, that betrayal had broken her. They painted her as a woman drowning in stress, cheated on by the man she gave everything to, and provoked by Jenna's intrusion. But the prosecution was ruthless. They called her a manipulator, a woman who planned every step. From inviting Jenna to choosing the camera blind spots, to selecting the desert gravesite. They showed the footage, played it in full. Every juror saw Jenna enter that gym and never leave. Then came the forensics, blood spatter patterns, DNA, a gym towel soaked in bleach, traced to Samantha's locker. And the most damning testimony came from Adrian Bell. Visibly trembling, he recounted his affair. He cried when he spoke of Jenna. He admitted his guilt, but said with heavy remorse, "She didn't deserve to die. None of this should have happened." The room was silent. Even Samantha closed her eyes. After 3 weeks of testimony, expert witnesses, and emotional breakdowns, the jury deliberated for only 5 hours. On October 19th, 2015, the verdict came. We, the jury, find the defendant, Samantha Reyes, guilty of murder in the first degree. There was no outburst, no tears. Samantha lowered her head and exhaled, as if she knew it all along. The sentence was swift. Life in prison without parole. Titanium Temple closed within the month. Its windows boarded up. Its logo spray painted over by vandals who once called her their hero. Adrian left Las Vegas. He couldn't bear the looks, the whispers, the guilt. Jenna's family held a candlelight vigil in the desert where her body was found. Her sister read aloud from Jenna's journal, dreams about opening a wellness center, teaching trauma yoga, starting over, dreams that would never come true. And Samantha? She was transferred to a maximum security facility in northern Nevada. She still lifts, but now it's to survive, not on a stage, not for fans, just to make it through each day. I've told a lot of stories like this. Stories where love turns into betrayal, where strength turns into rage, where someone crosses a line and can never come back. But this one, it lingers. Because Samantha Reyes wasn't some monster hiding in the shadows. She was a woman many of us admired. She built herself from nothing. She carved power from pain. She was celebrated, followed, idolized, and yet, it still wasn't enough. When her life began to unravel, when love slipped through her fingers and control began to fade, she didn't reach out. She clenched her fists. She buried her fear beneath pride. And in the end, it consumed her. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Real strength isn't about how much you can lift. It's about what you do when everything feels heavy inside. We all carry something. A heartbreak we pretend to ignore. A fear we never say out loud. A pressure to stay strong, even when we're breaking. But silence is not strength. Control is not healing. And revenge will never bring you peace. Samantha let her ego become her identity. And when that identity cracked, she didn't ask for help. She chose destruction and took an innocent life with her. So if you're watching this, if you're hurting, if you're struggling, if you feel like your life is spinning out of control, don't suffer in silence. Talk to someone. Ask for help. Let yourself be vulnerable, because the strongest thing you can do is admit that you're not okay. Let Samantha's story be a reminder that no matter how powerful we appear on the outside, it's how we handle what's inside. That defines who we really are.